Hello. So, maybe this isn't the greatest video that you want to see, but this is going to be a Syndra game. I try not to post too many Syndra games. I'm sure everybody's fed up with the comp and everybody's annoyed with the stuff and everything. But, I'm going through my VODs and Syndra's going to be gone probably start Wednesday. The nerfs seem pretty substantial. I don't think that she's going to be like as hotly contested. She might still be like a very niche situation reroll type of unit. So I think it's still important to understand Syndra as a unit, understand what makes her broken, understand why she was a problem in respect to all the other stuff that exists. So I want to make this video just because this was probably the last Syndra game I'm going to play, because this was the one that I played right before hitting Emerald, and I've been taking a break now until the next patch, working on doing VOD reviews and YouTube stuff and all of that. Make sure to like and subscribe if you like my content, and obviously don't get super tilted it's a Syndra game. This was one that I played live, by the way. I was really tilted when I was playing this live, and I think it was just because I was just so annoyed. My Syndra spot seems really good, so I got dropped to Syndra. I got dropped a tier, so I have all of this going for me, basically. So let's look at it right here. So I'm scouting. I'm trying to see, does anybody have a good Syndra spot? One guy's holding a Syndra, but doesn't really have Syndra items. Let's look at what I get dropped. I get dropped a bow, a tier, and then I get dropped an Encanter Crest here. Now, Encanter Crest isn't that great, but it does give us Syndra. So I'm going to be Syndra paired starting 2-1, which is pretty big. So the Syndra spot that I have is very good. What really sucks is that, I don't know when the best time is to pop an Ornn artifact. But, right now I'm just very stressed that I don't know if my Ornn artifact synergizes with my board really well. Because what if I don't get dropped an AP1 and then we look and I get Manazane? So Manazane basically gives you a whole bunch of mana over the course of 5 seconds, as well as some other stats. It gives attack speed, it gives AP, it gives starting mana. So it's a very, very, very strong Syndra item. So my opener is incredible for Syndra. I have basically right now, as of right now, I have 2 Syndras. 2 Syndras. I have Manazane on Syndra, so my Syndra is going to scale her cast really well. And all my components are Syndra components, right? I can make this bow into many Syndra items. I can make this tier into many Syndra items. I can make this, technically Adaptive Helm is okay in some cases on Syndra as well. But the main thing that you care about Syndra are 2 things. You care about attack speed. Of course, everybody probably knows this. And you care about mana. But mostly attack speed, right? Attack speed scales her Encanter. Right, it makes the Encanter, gives you AP based on your auto attack. So if you give her a bunch of attack speed, she'll not only cast a bunch because every auto attack gives her 5 mana, she'll also gain a bunch of AP. That's why everybody builds attack speed on Syndra nowadays. And then mana is obviously important because you want to scale her cast. So I look around, this guy's Syndra spot is okay, but it kind of sucks that he just hit a Syndra and he just made a thing. And then this guy also has a Syndra. Everybody just found a Syndra in their shop. Right, I scouted before I went for Encanter Crest, but now I'm locked in, right? I have Encanter Crest, I have Syndra with Manazane, and nobody's really popping their Ornn artifacts. I don't know why. Nobody has a Syndra Ornn item, but my Syndra spot is very good, in my opinion. So now I'm stuck in a spot where I have a really, really good Syndra spot, and I'm going to be at least 3-way contested. Spoiler alert, the reason I get tilted is not because of this 3-way contest on stream. It's because I'm pretty sure this turns into a 4 or 5-way contest for Syndra. Obviously, if you play in high elo games, I'm not high elo yet. This was when I was still in Plat going into Emerald. If you watch Masters, Grandmasters, I don't know if there's Challenger yet, but I'm sure in Challenger play of this patch, a lot of times the whole lobby holds on to Syndras. The reason the whole lobby holds on to Syndra is because you want to make sure that nobody hits Syndra 3 for free, and at the same time, having a Syndra in, she scales into late game. So even if it's a Syndra 2, it's still a useful unit that does more damage or as much damage as a 4 cost on a board in a lot of cases. So it makes sense that everybody's going to be contesting Syndra. It just makes it very unfun for me because I have Encanter Crest. So even though I'm scaling a Syndra, I have to play that line. Right, I have to play around Encanters. So I have to play Syndra, I have to play Karma, I have to play Cassio, I have to play all the units that the whole lobby is taking, as well as the frontline units. I don't have the option of just playing random Syndra plus other units. It's I have to play around the Encanter variation, playing around Encanters specifically. And that's the part that's like, this is stressful, and this is annoying. So, because I started with 2 Syndras, and everybody hit a Syndra in their shop, basically. And it's like, well, this is just a very unlucky game for me. That being said, I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to be really, like, whatever, too much. Also, there's a Syndra here, and look, it goes not on my side. So, this is another point of being unlucky. This guy's just going to take it. That would have been Syndra 2 for me. I'm happy with the Syndra 2, right? I'm going to play Syndra 2 the whole game. Just things aren't working out for me that great. I take a tier. Tier is good because I probably should have made a Syndra item, to be honest. But I think I was going for blue buff, because in the stats, blue buff Manazane is really good. Because Manazane basically gives you 120 mana, so if you can reduce the threshold, it'll make the cast like rapid fire. So it has like really good synergy with Manazane specifically. But I might wait to slam it. But I think that's what I was going for. I said to myself, I might as well just take an extra tier here and then decide on what my last item is going to be after. But I took tier because I was aiming towards making blue buff, but I think I just have cold feet on whether or not I'm going to slam it right away, which is why I haven't slammed it yet. But I do expect I'll slam it soon. I think I'm just like debating if I want to wait a second, because I can also make Shiv to give me good shred. Even though Syndra already shreds, it's just Shiv is really good with the comp regardless if you look at stats a lot of the time. Because it helps out with karma mostly and stuff like that. But that's why I'm just waiting a second. I'm just like, okay, let's see if I play specifically that variation where I play blue buff on Syndra. Typically you want Shojin on Syndra and you build attack speed with Shojin and then the auto attacks do a bunch. Because I have Manazane, blue buff reducing the threshold and Manazane giving me 120 mana, I basically get 6 casts for free every single round if you put blue buff in there. And that's like the idea behind it. But yeah, so now I'm not going to be playing Syndra reroll obviously, but I'm going to be pushing levels. So when you're contested Syndra, obviously you just go to level 8 and you try and play some variation of Preservers, Vanguards, or Wukong with Preservers, right? Or Vex. You play one of these front lines and then you play Karma, right? Karma plus this. That's your game plan. You're not strictly rerolling for Syndra, but you're pushing levels, then you're playing around all of that. Now, my Syndra, out of everybody in the lobby, is going to have the most casts, probably by far. So as you can see, I'm already at 20 casts. This fight didn't go well because my front line is shit, but I am scaling her up really well. What matters with Syndra, the part of Syndra that makes her the most broken out of everything else, is the scaling off of the casts. Now, they didn't nerf the scaling off the cast, but they nerfed every other aspect of Syndra, which is why I don't think she's going to be relevant anymore. But the scaling off the cast is something that is very, very important. So we're going to see how she does. I should have probably made blue buff already, but I think I just wanted to greed to wait for items. The reason I don't want to slam blue buff right away on Syndra is mostly because if I have to play around Karma, I don't want to dedicate all my items to Syndra, because then I won't have Karma items, and Karma might end up being my main damage dealer. Because if you look at the lobby, everybody has a Syndra. This guy, he doesn't even have the Syndra in. He took Deathfire Grasp with Spoils of War, and he looks like he's pivoting into Syndra. At this point, I'm just upset during stream because I'm like, this is insane. I started the game with 2 Syndras. Everybody found a Syndra in shop. One guy already has Syndra 2. I didn't find anything. It's like, what am I doing here? So it's like, this is ridiculous because I'm kind of forced into this line. Usually if this line is very contested like this, I understand the value of how strong Syndra is, but I would usually just pivot, right? I would angle myself towards more like Karma. Here, I just slam all the items on Syndra. Just make sure that she scales. And what I'm hoping for is that eventually I'll just find the charm that gives you a magnetic remover, which I think they're getting rid of, by the way. I heard it in I saw it in the patch notes. If I'm not mistaken, they're getting rid of the swapping, like the gain a magnetic remover and gain a reforger. But that's what I'm basically banking on. Late game, I'm going to take these items, I'm going to put them on Karma, but for now, I'm going to scale this Syndra so that when I get a Karma, the Syndra is still useful to the team. But red buff is really good, gives a bunch of attack speed and gives anti-heal. Syndra shreds, so now everything is dealt with. I know I made a spark. I could have made Gargoyle Stone play and then play around the rod. But I just want to slam the best items possible, so in this particular situation, I thought it would be best to make Spark to make sure my Syndra does as much damage as possible. But anyways, if you look at this spot, I went from, stage 2-1 thinking this is going to be one of the easiest top 4s of my life, to right now saying, I am probably the lowest HP Syndra player in the lobby. I have 2 Syndras, but I can't roll for a Syndra. I can't roll for on 6 for the Syndra upgrade because there are so many Syndras already gone from the pool. There's 2 people with Syndra 2 if I'm not mistaken. But at least there's like 4 people holding Syndras. So I can't play around that. I take Replication. Replication, I'm just hoping to get bailed out. I'm just going to take Tier. Is it either Tier or Sparring Gloves? I think I take Sparring Gloves here because it's going to give me 3 copies of the item. Sparring Gloves will help me be a little bit stronger right now just by nature of making a Thieves Gloves. That's the idea. I'm going to make a Thieves Gloves and I'm going to have a glove to play around. That's the idea. This guy's Blighting Jewel Syndra. Blighting Jewel is so bad on Syndra, by the way. It does absolutely nothing. So everybody just, this is why I was annoyed as well. My items are like giga strong for Syndra. My Syndra is going to scale harder than everybody else in the lobby. It's just going to be very hard for me to stabilize because I can't really roll at a low level because I want, like, you know, that just adds a bunch of risk, right? Like if I just send all my gold now to 0 on level 6 and I don't hit the Syndra, then not only am I broke, my board is also weak. Other players like this Kog'Maw player, for example, uncontested Kog'Maw, has a great life ahead of him. Me, I'm low HP. I basically have to level 8 to try and play around a level 8 board because I'm not going to be strong enough to compete with some of these other Syndra players that already have a Syndra 2, as well as have like a strong enough front line that they're stable. So instead, I'm kind of just meandering a little bit. I have this Poppy and like Lilias, which aren't that great. I should level here at least and play Tom Kench and maybe a Vanguard unit because I think that's going to be a little bit stronger and just try and preserve HP. But right, I'm trying to balance having as much money as possible while preserving HP. This guy has the Shapeshifter growth augment, so he's just playing vertical Shapeshifter Syndra. You know, it's fine. I think the person who has the best spot for Syndra is the guy with the Gwynsu. So I feel like the guy with the Gwynsu is the only person I'm really scared about, but the problem is all the other Syndra players are probably going to go bot 4 with me. That's my thought process right now. This is why I hate it when like Syndra exists like this. Obviously, like, you know, if I didn't take Encanter Crest, like imagine if I took Pfeiffer. This is what I was thinking to myself the whole time, and this is part of why I was frustrated. It's like I could have just taken Pfeiffer, right? Like if I took, Pilfer, however you pronounce it. The one that gives you gold, like it gives you a copy of the first unit that you kill. I could have just been easily just like, all of them can contest Syndra, whatever the fuck happens, but I could have just been soaring with my endless gold, going to level 8 or 9 and just having fun and being happy. But I'm kind of stuck in this situation. I'm lowest HP and there's a Karma. Guess what? Suddenly things are looking brighter. Now we have a Karma. So now I feel pretty comfortable, or I feel a lot more comfortable. I'm looking for Magnetic Remover eventually. If I find a Magnetic Remover, I can transfer these items onto Karma once I have a Karma 2. And just scale up the Syndra as long as possible, transfer the items later. That's my thought process. I'm really sad that they're removing the remover because this is how I structure a lot of my games. I'll slam items on a unit, even if it's not Syndra, if it's another unit. I'll slam items, and then I'll worry about like dealing with the repercussions of that later because a lot of times you'll find the magnetic remover. It was very easy to find a magnetic remover. I don't understand that. I didn't think it was that broken, but maybe in the stats it's like the most bought charm. But that makes sense because I feel like you always buy it because it's like, yeah, it's a magnetic remover and a thing. Isn't that great? Anyways, playing around Encanters, we want to play 4 Encanter as a unit starting level 8 basically. So we want to hold on to 1 extra Encanter, which is probably going to be Cassiopeia, and then we could play some Preserver frontline or something like that. But basically we're in a spot now because it's so hotly contested. Obviously, all the people that are playing Syndra, they're not dumb. They're all going to be pushing levels as well. So all of us on level 8 are going to be rolling for copies of Karma and or Preservers and or Vanguards. Remember I was talking about all those different variations of lines that you can play. So I expect everybody just to be contesting each other very heavily this lobby because everybody's playing towards this AP line and wants to hold on to the Syndra as long as possible. If I find a Nami, I could definitely play Nami on my board if that's an opportunity. I'm kind of scouting. I'm trying to see exactly what's going on. This guy still hasn't put in his Syndra, so I don't know what he's doing. Because he has Deathfire Grasp and he's playing like Portal and he's just holding a Syndra. I think he's just trying to grief the lobby. This guy, he just threw his game away. I don't know what he's doing. He made IE on Syndra. It's by far one of her worst items. Syndra, you just want attack speed and mana items and AP. Jewel Gauntlet is bad on Syndra. If you look at the stats, Jewel Gauntlet is one of her worst items. IE is like a worse version of Jewel Gauntlet. I don't know what he's doing. He just didn't have Syndra items. Right? I have triple Syndra items. My Syndra is scaling faster than everybody else. I feel very confident in my spot. If only I wasn't like the lowest HP of everybody here, then I would feel a lot more confident, right? Or I would feel more that I can actually convert this to a win. I'm in a spot now where, because I'm the lowest HP, if we all contest each other and we all don't hit our boards, right? Then it comes down to like a lottery. It comes down to matchmaking, and we might run into a situation where things go wrong. Obviously, finding this Karma on Carousel is a huge bailout. It's a big high roll. But this game is probably, if I didn't high roll into a Karma, and we're going to see something else happen right now, which is going to be an even larger high roll. And I want to point that out, right? I don't think I particularly played this great. I don't think I played it bad. I think that my opener was very good for Syndra because I had a Syndra and I found an augment that gave me an extra Syndra. But just by nature of it being Syndra and being hotly contested, I should have been prepared that it would have been as bad as it was. We look at my item drops. I get dropped another sword, which isn't that great, but I get dropped a tier, which is okay. I want to swap blue buff onto Karma and then probably Shojin onto Syndra if I can. So right now I'm just gonna play Wukong because Wukong is strong. Because I have to roll a lot of gold on level 8. I'm not rich enough because of the way that my econ worked out. I was holding expensive units for stage 2, as well as I won 1 or 2 rounds in the mid game, so I didn't full streak. As you can see, I'm only at a 1 loss because I won 1 round and I lost all the other rounds. So I'm very broke. But I want to roll a bunch of gold on level 8 to try and upgrade and play like Preservers and all these other units. So I have to just sit here on 4-1, wait till 4-2 to roll down. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Usually when you're contested, a lot of times it makes sense to level on 4-1. I just don't have enough money. I can't level here and then roll 10 gold and expect to hit anything. So I have to wait a turn, and then we're going to send it to 0 basically every turn after this until we find some upgrades. I beat this guy. He looks like he's stronger than me, but he's not because my Syndra is scaled by now. Spellblades, huge high roll. Very, very strong with the Syndra comp. I double checked to see if Support Golem is better because Support Golem is a very strong augment right now. It is getting nerfed. All the golems are getting nerfed. But yeah, also Spellblade is getting nerfed. Basically everything that's strong is getting nerfed. It's actually a really good patch upcoming, minus the Wukong buffs, but like, you know, it's all good. So now we got a level. We're gonna roll like 30-ish gold, and we're gonna try and hit as many units as possible. We have 4 Incanter, that's fine. I want to swap out some of these units for like some better. I found a Morgana. That's a huge high roll. Guess what? I think this game went from me looking like a guaranteed bot 4 to all of a sudden I'm probably in a position to win now. I'm gonna have Incanter Morgana. So if you don't know, Incanter just gives a bunch of AP for auto attacks. Morgana is like usually the missing link that you need when you're playing Preservers. It's really easy to hit the other Preserver. It's easy to find a Rakan. It's easy to find a, well, maybe Rakan not as easy, but it's easy to find a Bard. It's easy to find a Zillion. Hitting 4 Preserver is really, really strong in terms of stalling. Morgana is one of the best tanks in the game because of that. Now, you know, I might not win this fight, but I probably will anyways because my Syndra scaled. This is Syndra 1, by the way. Also, I lost. Never mind. But because I still have a Syndra 1. I haven't found another Syndra. Obviously, you know, you could say that I should have rolled on level 6. That's too risky. I need to make it to level 8 in order to fit some board like this. Finally, I started the game 2-1 with 2 Syndras, and it took me until 4-3 to find my other Syndra. That's the main reason why I was annoyed for most of this game. It's like I knew this would happen, right? I started the game with the most Syndras, and I didn't natural a single Syndra for the entirety of the game, and it took me until now to find the Syndra. Now, it's not the end of the world. Things are still okay. I could fit in, I'm 3 Preserver right now. I want to fit in 4 Preserver. The problem is I have Tahm Kench and this guy's Vanguard. I'd rather just keep this front line because it's a little bit more stable. It's probably better to have this in rather than, it's better to have this front line rather than drop one of the Vanguards for another backline unit because I already have so many backline units, right? That's my thought process here. Morgana 1, huge tank. Morgana's going to be great. You know, dance off Morgana. She's the MVP right now. because my Syndra items were so good, my Syndra has been casting so much, my Syndra has been so strong in this situation. We're actually starting to look like we're converting into a really good spot here, right? The reason this looks like a good spot now is because I have a Syndra 2. Everybody has a Syndra 2. Nobody's gonna hit Syndra 3 anytime soon. We all know that, right? It doesn't matter who rolls as much as they want. Everybody's holding on to Syndras. It's gonna be hard to find a Syndra 3. My Syndra 2 is the strongest out of everybody. She is probably stronger than most forecasts. I hope that I highlight the casting that she has. So out of nowhere, we just high rolled, and a lot of this we found a Morgana. That's pretty much how we high rolled, right? We found a Morgana, and the game's over because I found a Morgana. It sucks, but it is true. Obviously, I can transfer some of these items onto the Karma. I don't want to make a Gunblade on the Karma because I was really hoping to find a magnetic remover charm. I know that sounds really like I'm playing a very narrow game here, but this is a very like 1st or 8th spot. Here I'm gonna have Karma 2 now. I really want to transfer these items. If I sell the Syndra, I lose all the stacks that I have. So right now, the Syndra with all the stacks is gonna do as much, if not more, damage than the Karma. It's just really scary. Hopefully I can show the stacks on my Syndra. You'll see that she has like an absurd amount of stacks because the Manazane with the blue buff as well as the red buff, it is so much. Like, she just deletes the board. See, as you can see here, I have a Karma 2. Obviously, it's Karma 2, no items, but the Syndra is doing an insane amount of damage, and so is Morgana. Morgana does damage and tanks. She is a beast. She is very strong. And I kind of just want to level for one more Preserver. If I can make it to 4 Preserver, that would probably be like my max cap board. Obviously, I want to lose this guy for probably a different Vanguard unit in this spot. Vanguards are very strong, but I think, what's it called? It would probably be better to play Mordekaiser. But yeah, as of now, I'm just holding on to Syndras as I find them. I think one of the this was probably a Syndra player that just like gave up. I don't know, but I'm seeing a couple Syndras, which is pretty good for me. I found the Karma 2, Giga High Roll. I just need Karma items. It's still risky, but now it's not looking like a bot 4 anymore. Obviously, the most important thing that I wanted to point out in this game is the casting. The casting is so important. I have 3 Syndra items. Oh, it doesn't show it. Ready? 84 casts, right? Let's look at this guy's Syndra. Hopefully I show it. I should show it at one point. I'm at 84 casts. I'm at 87 casts, right? So I'm going to be at 90 casts, which is the next threshold. So that's pretty good. It's not as good as I would want to be, right? Usually want to be 30 on stage 2, 60. No, it's okay. But yeah. If I can, I would transfer items onto Karma. I don't want to sell this Syndra because she's at 90 cast, basically. Which is good. It's a little bit behind tempo, but it's fine. I think if I made blue buff a bit earlier, I would have already been at 90 cast, but that's just my bad. I also died really easily a lot on stage 3. But out of nowhere, we're in a good spot. Right? Out of nowhere, we're just winning the game, which is really, really, really funny to me. Because I remember on stream, I was bitching. I was like, I'm going 8th guaranteed. This is so bad. And then I got dropped another tier. That's insane, by the way. So now I'm going to have Karma items without having to transfer off the Syndra items. Now, I kind of greeted my items, obviously, but that's because I felt like I was in a spot to greet it. I wouldn't recommend always doing that. If I was like 10 HP, for example, I 100% sell the Syndra and itemize the Karma. Right? Obviously. That is obviously what you do. Right? we're not trying to be heroes here, right? We obviously sell the Syndra at that point. But because I was winning a lot of the fights, because I have so much faith in Morgana, I feel like I'm fine, right? I feel like for most of those fights, I wasn't super scared. And as you can see, I didn't really lose a fight. I think I lost one fight at one point, but I'm really high HP compared to the board. Obviously, this guy and this guy are really high HP, but I am very strong now. I have Karma items with Foreign Canter as well. Like, bro's getting deleted. Like, I have a Syndra 2. It doesn't matter that I don't have Syndra 3. She's scaled hard enough. I have Karma. I have Karma 3 items now. I just got dropped a blue buff when I already got dropped a blue buff. You know what I mean? Like, I got dropped 4 tiers this game. This game is very high roll. It was insanely high roll. It was like, holy shit, this was a lottery ticket of a game. I think I was definitely not going top 4, and then all of a sudden I get dropped a Karma, then all of a sudden I get dropped 2 tiers, then all of a sudden I get dropped a Morgana. And you know, it's unfortunate, but to be fair, I started the game with 2 Syndras. You know, the game could have I would have easily taken a Syndra over any of those units earlier, and it would have been really nice. Here we go. I'm fighting against a Karma with Blinding Jewel. Blinding Jewel Karma is very strong. This guy, unfortunately, I don't know what he's doing. Because I would roll my gold down. I think he's trying to go 9. Like, he's saving econ here. He is really healthy, but he needs to find this Karma upgrade more so than go 9. Because if he doesn't find this Karma upgrade soon, like, for example, for me, like, I rolled really hard to find this Karma. I feel like even if you have a lot of HP, like, you can wait for people to die, but somebody like me hitting the Karma, a lot of it's because this guy's just not using his gold. Obviously, he's very strong and he's probably winning other fights, so maybe that makes sense. But it's just rough. Now, what are my win cons here? If I hit Morgana 2, I probably win. If I make it to level 9, I probably win. So right now, I probably want to go to level 9. If I make it to level 9, I could play 5 Preserver. This guy still has Morgana 2. His spot's not good. His Syndra items are ass. I don't know why he made IE. I literally don't. Like, he just didn't have good Syndra items. He has no Karma items. Like, it's ridiculous. This guy was the guy with the Deathfire that was holding on to it for much of the game. He has no mana item. He's playing Karma without a mana item. Nashor's isn't that great on Karma, by the way. So I'm just confused, right? I'm just confused. I feel like the whole lobby tried to play Syndra, and nobody had a good spot for Syndra, and nobody hit items for Syndra, and I'm just like sitting around. I'm like, this is ridiculous. And I think that's a testament to the meta, obviously. Now, you might have looked at me and said my Syndra spot wasn't good. You have to understand, I started with 3 good Syndra components, so no matter what, first carousel, I was going to be able to make a Syndra item. I got an Ornn artifact, which is one of Syndra's best Ornn. I think it's RFC and Manazane are 2 best items, so I got one of the 2, so that indicated Syndra. And then I also got everything. Now, obviously, the Ornn artifact wasn't decided upon earlier. I had the Encanter crest, so I was able to play the 4 Encanter, as I indicated here. But still, my Syndra spot was good, because I started the game with 2 Syndras. If you start the game with 2 Syndras, it's going to be relatively easy for you to find a Syndra 2. Obviously, I low rolled a little bit, and then with the Syndra 2, you just convert that to, you scale her up and convert it to a win. If you don't have a Syndra item to scale up your Syndra, don't try and force into Syndra. That's like a main thing that you have to understand. If your Syndra doesn't scale well enough into late game, it doesn't matter how broken Syndra is. If your Syndra doesn't scale, you're probably gonna go bot 4, and that's like that's something that's probably really frustrating. That happens a lot to people, but you have to respect it. You try and scale her up as best as possible, but you can't primary Syndra unless she is scaled, if that makes sense. You can always scale up a Syndra, but she cannot be your primary unless she's already scaled. Now, for me, I was always trying to play around the Karma. Obviously I high rolled. I'm not saying I didn't high roll, but I got put into this position. I had a really good Syndra spot, and I had to high roll in order to like convert it, which is fine, but it's just like, you know. Then see my Syndra scale. That's a Syndra scale diff. Beat this guy, and all of a sudden I'm not even playing for top 4 anymore. Now I'm playing for first. This guy is free falling. Should have rolled for Karma. I think that's the main thing. If that guy rolled for Karma, it would have been really good. So out of nowhere, all of a sudden I'm just winning, which is shocking because I thought I was gonna go 8th. But you know, the game gave me some shit. I played around it well. I recognized to put in Cantor Morgana, and that would be stable enough to play this line with just Morgana. And now I'm like trying to go level 9. But if I go to level 9, I fit in one more Preserver. It's basically GG at that point, because, you know, as long as I find a Morgana 2, I'm pretty sure I don't lose to anybody. This guy has tech. This guy's very strong, by the way. But still doesn't have Karma 2. Blinding Jewel Karma is very strong, but he has pretty shit Karma items. I think he converted, right? He changed one of these items, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong. But it's Karma 1. You can't out DPS me, which sucks, because, like, you know, this guy would have had a really good game and a really good spot. But he's still not rolling. He's 50 gold. Is he slow rolling on 50 on level 8? Like, brother, you have to roll a little bit deeper. Like, now your game's at risk. Anyways, I'm gonna try and go 9 starting next turn. This Syndra player, remember I said I think this Syndra player had no, not this guy. The other guy that had a good spot, he kind of griefed it. This guy, I felt like he had a good spot, but like not really, because he's playing the weaker version with the Shapeshifter. Shapeshifters kind of suck. But me, it's like, also I hit spell blades, that's part of it, why I'm so strong, but just everything kind of worked out for me, which was really nice. But I did want to show at least one last Syndra game. This is just the most recent one. I think there were better played Syndra games that I had, where I was in more of like these weird spots and I played like towards nicher lines. One example is the one I showed you with, I have a video on my channel with, School Mascot Syndra, where I pushed levels with School Mascot and then I got a first with a Syndra 2, even though there's a Syndra 3 in the lobby. Stuff like that's really interesting. But yeah, now we're just rolling for Morgana. I put in Zillion. Zillion gives me Chrono as well as Preserver, so we'll take that. It was probably Zillion. Why didn't I play Zillion over Bard? It should have been Zillion over Bard a while ago, by the way, because Bard doesn't really offer me anything. That's my bad. I didn't even notice. Because Zillion gives me, what's it called? Zillion gives Chrono, because I have the Karma. But yeah, I have a fully scaled Syndra. Karma 2, 3 items, 4 Preserver. It's so chalked for everybody else, which is so funny. I don't even need Syndra 3. Morgana 2, just GG, wrap it up. It's over. Nobody can beat me now. This guy's really fucking strong, by the way, but it's unfortunate because I'm 4 in Canter. I'm Morgana 2. I frontliner now, because like I feel like she'll be strong enough as a 2-star to not die out. And I still have this shitter Vanguard, like this Rumble. It doesn't really matter. It was just the upgrade that I had, so I was riding with it. But he's totally swappable. Mordekaiser is probably better in a lot of situations. This guy finally had Karma 2, but I feel like it's too little too late. He might still get a second, but I don't know if he even beats the other guy, like he beats this guy. Oh, this guy's strong. Look, see, like I'm already losing this fight. Ooh, it's gonna come down to my Syndra. Yeah, I lost this fight. So, you know, it's not over yet. There's a little bit of a game to be played. A little bit of game to be played, but I don't have Rakan 2. That's a big spike. This guy is pretty much maxed out. Like, there's nothing else he can really hit. Me, I have a huge spike in Rakan 2. So, as soon as I hit Rakan 2, that's kind of big. Yeah, as you can see, Rakan isn't even one of my main tanks right now. Yeah, I think I'm debating if I sell Rumble for Mordekaiser or not. Yeah, now I just sell it. I'm selling him now because I want to upgrade this Rakan to make sure that I win the next fight. But I could just sell the Karma, so I decide to keep Rumble, and then, yeah, that works out better. I'm not hitting Karma 3. I'm not griefing this guy in any way, so just play that. We'll see who wins of these two. Now that I have Rakan 2, I'm also going to make it to Carousel, so I'll get one more item for Rakan, so I should be able to convert this to a first. Which is so funny, right? It's like a 5-way contest for Syndra, and who wins? It's the one with the best Syndra scaling, right? The one that has an Orn artifact on the Syndra was the one that won, right? The guy with IE Syndra didn't win, that's for sure. The guy with, like, you know, no Syndra for like half the game and then pivoted into Syndra didn't win. It's almost as if the scaling matters a lot. Now, obviously, I high rolled a lot. Don't take that out of context. I'm kind of just joking a little bit. I like to make like little quips and jokes and be funny. Haha. But, yeah, like, what matters a lot when you're playing Syndra is the scaling. I high rolled into a lot of the stuff. There was people that could have played better. Going first is because I think people misplayed their spots a little bit. I obviously could have played, sorry, they obviously could have played better, and then I would have gotten like a 5th/4th/3rd at best. But because other people just didn't, like, you know, optimize what they were doing, it made it easier for me, and then hitting the Morgana was enough for me to stabilize. Obviously, there was also no Wukong player in the lobby. If I didn't hit Morgana, I would probably just hold on. I had a Wukong, and I was going to hold on to Wukongs and just roll for Wukongs, basically. I usually want to roll on 7 for Wukong, but I wanted to push to level 8 just to fit in a better board. And I would just keep rolling on level 8 and keep trying to gather Wukongs until I was stable around a Wukong 3 or something. Here we're just fighting this board. It's unfortunate. His augments are pretty bad, right? Because he has like, I have like basically triple combat. So, you know, we just get a first out of that. That's the last Syndra game you'll ever see like this, of this meta. Obviously. I don't think it's that fun to watch. I don't think that it's that interesting. I'm sure everybody has seen it before. I tried to make it entertaining and joke around and try and like whatever. But you know, don't be like super like angry about it. It's gonna be gone in a few days. But you know, because it's gonna be gone in a few days, I have these VODs that I want to VOD review. So I just wanted to show you guys in case you're still grinding a last little couple games. You know, some people like don't mind the Syndra too much. Just make sure if you're playing Syndra and you're committing to like a Syndra and Cantor line where these are your main carries, make sure to scale up the Syndra. If your Syndra isn't scaled up, then you probably have to play closer towards like a Nami, some other line where your items are going towards like some other AP unit, right? You can't play like Karma, Syndra every single game because it's going to be contested by everybody, and the person that's going to win is usually either the person with the most HP or the person that has the best spot for it. My Syndra has insane items, really good spot for it, scaled up the cast really hard. I obviously misplayed a little bit in the mid game. I didn't have a lot of HP, so a lot of people probably thought that I was going to be the one to die out first, but I high rolled into a Morgana. If I didn't high roll into the Morgana, I probably could have just kept rolling to try and play around a Wukong with Preservers, and I would have been stable against a lot of the other Syndra players because my Syndra just does more damage in a lot of those fights because of the because my scale outscaled a lot of them and has really good items for it. So just keep that in mind when you're playing. Try your best, and you know, it'll all be over soon. Thank you for watching. Hopefully this was an enjoyable video, even though it was a Syndra video. And hopefully you learned something if you didn't see something like this already. And yeah, foreign Cantor, pretty good with Syndra in this case. Won't see this after Wednesday, but you know, have fun. See ya.